real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
We got a terrific show for you lined up the next 2 hours. Plus opening day here in Toronto for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay, Blue Jays. Let's play ball.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, nicely done. As our NPR opening.
But before we get to first pitch,
Kipper's going to the game tonight.
I am going to the game
Oh, is that
tonight.
why you're
Yes.
dressed all nice?
Looks like $1 million today.
I was going to go and maybe do a hit on Tim and Friends because they're there for their very last show. But I was kind of on their last show last week, or at least my last hit.
And just stand behind them
But
and wave.
I don't know if I'm going to make it. Now there's lots of traffic. I'm told there's a couple of lights that are out that's causing mayhem around Rogers Center. And I'll probably need a good hour to get down there. And I think they're off the air at 6. So I'll just have to.
All that Vladdy power has caused a surge in the region.
I'll just have to go
district.
straight to the patio.
Well, if you take the good old TTC, you'd be there in 25 minutes tops. So you
What is
can
it?
make it? You can make it there in 25 minutes tops on the TTC. But you're too famous.
No. I would take the Red Rocket for sure.
Well,
now that they've got cell service down there.
I don't know if that's happened yet. But
Rogers, going to be on your TTC.
Yes.
Apparently. In the subway.
Yes.
You'll have cell service at some
So
point.
That
no
sucks.
alone time at all.
that sucks. That's my favorite time of the day.
That's your solitude,
my
right?
disconnection where I read about my good buddy Bourne.
Now it's going to be Kyper and I being like, get us clips, Sammy.
Nah, you guys are pretty nice.
All right, he's Sammy McKee. I'm Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, and David Sisboomba. We also got Jim Ralph in about 43 minutes. Brian Ekblom will join us as well, Lightning analyst for Bally Sports. We'll figure out what's going on with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But first, let's play a game called Hey Maple Leafs, Who's Your Goalie?
Spin the wheel. Do we have a wheel sound? Like,
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your goalie? Who's your goalie? Who's your goalie?
Yeah, what a mess. What a chaos. I mean, it sounds now like Joe Woll is going to be your guy. The league has relented and allowed the Leafs to use a goalie.
So they stood
Let's
firm.
talk.
They stood firm. The league stood firm that the Leafs were not allowed to use an emergency call-up, which they planned on with Joseph Wall when Matt Murray went down.
Right.
The feeling was, according to the league, that you wanted Matthew Nyes, you added him, you're creating the emergency.
You could have just called up Wall and not signed.
Correct.
Nyes.
You chose Nyes over Joseph Wall.
Right.
Therefore, we're not allowing you to go to an emergency backup. Therefore, bring in the ATOs, amateur tryouts, for anybody that has bought goalie equipment within the last 3 years at Canadian Tire.
Yeah,
you
you're
are
in.
now eligible to sign an ATO contract.
Right. So then,
Therefore, give me a goddamn break.
I know. And going into today, like any of the guys on the Leafs that you wanted to, say are injured, which you justifiably could do, presumably would have made room for Woll. Like, could you have said that Matthews?
No, you could not.
Why not?
Because the issue is now it's the end of the year and there's a cutoff on LTR.
That's right. So Murray couldn't go on it
Murray could not go on
because he got hurt a
it.
few days too late.
The cutoff is 10 games or 24 days.
How stupid
Matt
is that?
Matt Murray.
That don't make no sense.
No. It does, because people tend to be to cheat and circumvent situations.
But this is that's got to change the league, because
like Gary
if you,
Bettman having a team of guys who haven't played in 6 years in his backyard and his favorite team, the Arizona Coyotes, like that kind of circumvention, Kipper?
that's one type, but that doesn't make any sense to me, in that guys still get hurt in a way that they're not going to be available, and you should be able to use their salary cap
You can.
space.
You can do it in emergency as long as you don't create the emergency yourself.
Right, but I'm saying if you say last night Matthews gets hit by a shot and tonight he's hurt and he's not going to be available to us for 2 games, or whoever, pick anyone, Lafferty, that should create the space, but they're not believing that the Leafs have these injuries.
You can't put anyone on LTR from here on in.
Right,
So,
but you should be able to, is my point. That's all.
Yeah. So it looks like Wall will play. As
Wally the
Luke
goalie.
Fox and a few others have now been reporting out of Tampa Bay that he has mysteriously showed up on the roster.
So here's from Cap Friendly on Twitter. They put out an explainer. It says, how is this recall possible? Since the Leafs played last game short a goalie and they had to rely on an ATO, they've been permitted to use the roster emergency exception, REE. While recalled under REE, Joseph Wall has a cap hit charge of $0, free 99.
So the league was essentially just like, all right, fine. It's an emergency. You clearly don't have, the league would be embarrassed, I think, if they were to put in a major junior goalie tonight.
100%.
They're saving
correct.
face here.
Why? Like, come on. People are spending $100, $150,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, come on, I didn't pay to see this.
Right. Yeah.
I would imagine that the league or Brendan or Kyle just pushed on him and said, "You really want this? You want me to play two teenagers?"
Right. And also, Nyes was signed yesterday, as you mentioned, creating that problem yesterday that they could have avoided. But then he's a guy who's under contract just like anyone else on the team. So today they need a goalie. Like how far back would a guy have to sign his contract to say you've created the problem? Well, it wasn't today they signed the contract, so they do qualify for that emergency exemption. Either way, Joseph Wall's going to play tonight.
Yeah.
Woohoo! And he would have to give up 38 goals to get the hook tonight.
Now, just hearing some rumblings that if Wall may play, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner may not play.
Yeah. There's no way. There's no way they should play.
Really?
At the very least, Matthews shouldn't play. Marner, maybe if you want him to get to 100 points, which I am fully on board with. That's a worthwhile chase. Matthews has his 40 goals. He hasn't sat out yet, and everyone else has.
Yeah.
He should sit. I think Mitch should play.
So I know at least the plan was for both of them not to play tonight.
Wow. Really? There it is, folks.
Who knows? Who knows what's happened between their plans last night and going into today with all the craziness of talking to the league and perhaps the push on respectability in your roster. I don't know where it ended up, but don't be surprised if you turn your set on tonight and you don't see 16 and 34.
It's funny how human this all feels to me. Like usually they point to, well, by the letter of the law, this feels like a bunch of people got on the phone and were like, this is dumb. What's your problem? Let's talk through this.
This is what's the most interesting too, is that by coincidence, I don't know, this is a truly meaningless game, right?
For both teams.
Yeah, which wasn't the case last night against Florida. Like
Consequences, real ones.
huge consequences, and good on the Leafs because they have nowhere to go in the standings, but they dressed a good lineup last night and they pushed Florida hard and they found a way to beat them. Can you imagine tonight if it was a game
Florida tonight.
and you're Pittsburgh watching?
Mm-hmm.
I thought the same
Right?
thing. If it wasn't Tampa
Can you
tonight,
imagine now if it meant something to Pittsburgh, the game tonight, and you're watching them go two ATO goalies? Like, you'd lose your mind.
it's so funny, the way this is all.
It's a very good point.
Yeah. If you're one of those other
Right.
teams going, wait, I'm sorry, you're going to let them do this, even though, and then you hold up the whole rule book and say, even though maybe they're not technically able to.
Right? And the Islanders, too, right? The Islanders right there with Pitt, watching teams that could make or break them.
For sure. And, the other thing is the Leafs don't get favoritism from the league. I think a lot of people would make the case they get the opposite, that it's the league does not favor the Leafs. In this case, imagine they force Samsonov to play a back-to-back the team doesn't want him to play, and he gets hurt. And now this franchise...
That was never going to happen. That's why you would dress...
He was not going in the
You're
net.
going to dress anybody you could find to stand and put pads on before you would have gone to Samsonov.
Get Wayne
right?
Simmons in there tonight over Samsonov.
He'll
Yeah, if you're
probably...
paying-
You will see Wayne Simmons in the lineup
I
tonight.
meant in net.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. But But we'll see probably Yarncroc and Simmons and maybe Lafferty in the lineup.
Nyes
will play for sure.
So I like the Leafs not giving Matthews and Marner to Tampa.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, I think Marner's got to play one of these last two games. He has to be given.
What's he, 1 point away?
They're definitely. I'll be shocked if they're not in the lineup against the New York Rangers.
Good.
They will
on Thursday.
They will be.
That's good. I think the second half of back-to-back, the team you're about to play in the first round of the playoffs, the grittiness of that team, it's a good place to get them a little bit of
Don't
rest.
give them a practice run and shut you down.
And one note too, guys, let's not forget, one guy's going for his 300th goal of his career, and the other one's going for 100 points for the first time in his career.
I don't care about Matthews' milestone. That's nothing. Marner's I care about. That's the guy has been everything for this team this year. He deserves the
Don't
chance
tell
to
me
get
Matthews
to
doesn't want that off the books. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he'll get that game one next
Goal
year.
scorers like that stuff.
Yes.
Like next year, the first game, it goes in the net. Oh, he got it.
Yeah.
8 months later.
He
All
becomes
right.
the 6,000th player to 300 goals.
You want to go to Sheldon Keefe's overview of the game last night, or you want to start off, JB, first?
Well, I guess the obvious conversation, we should probably do the overview first, and then Matthew Nyes is the guy. But let's start with the overview first.
Yeah, I thought we did a great job. I mean, obviously we knew this game means a lot to the opponent, and we're doing our best to make it mean a lot to us in terms of our effort and our preparation and all of that. And I liked how our guys stayed with it. Obviously you'd like to win this game in regulation, but it's a desperate team on the other side, and I thought we did a good job. And we made one mistake in the third period, and they scored on it. But aside from that, we really didn't give very much, and there wasn't much happening up until that point. So I liked our effort today, and I liked that we found a way to get the second point.
Okay, people at home, think to yourself now, what did Kyper think of Matthew Nyes last night? This is my favorite part of their show, when you and I don't do takes pre-show, and I get to find out how you felt about Matthew Nyes' debut.
I thought he showed a presence.
Yeah.
That he comes in right away as a guy that is big and strong, can work the walls against some NHLers.
Was Mark Stolly pushed off down there?
Is there times when he looked a little bit lost, maybe a little bit indecisive? Yeah, but this is a guy, and if we look at his last 48 hours, I believe that when they lost, the thought was he was just going to stay in Florida and join the team.
Yeah.
But I think the coach made them all go back to Minnesota first.
If you're Nyes, you're like, I don't have to do anything.
Well, I think they all went back together, and then he stayed, and then he had to jump back on, and so his head was
rigmarole that day.
Head was spinning. Do I think that he can come in and be impactful and be somewhat of a difference maker? Can he lend towards pushback or lean back on a Tampa Bay that's coming after you? I'm not sure he's quite there yet. In a perfect world, I'd like to see him with the Marlies first, but this is now Kyle and Sheldon don't appear to be in that space.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
What would you
That's
think?
good. No, I think.
Am I off? Am I?
No.
Tell me what you saw.
I have two thoughts about him. One, I am more impressed with his skill package than I expected to be. Like, he looks like a guy who can make plays, do things offensively, like a lot of quick twitch movements, a lot of like small area passes that were really good. At the same time, Leafs Nation needs him to be good in 5 days, 6 days. They need him to be able to help and contribute. And I have some worry that in previous years, they've had guys make mistakes, like one-off mistakes that have cost them. And I'm not talking about the one turnover everyone thinks I'm talking about. He's just in some places where I think he could hurt them.
But that is the one play that could hurt you in a best of seven.
Sure. For sure. It's the Galchenyuk pass. It's the Dermott turnover.
Yes, that's right.
It's those moments. And so I'm curious to see what their aversion to risk is with keeping him in, out, and how they use him, because I think he can make plays, get points, contribute. I really am impressed with how fast he is at that size.
I didn't think he was very. I thought I was expecting a smoother skater. I found him very, a lot choppier than I thought I was going to see.
I found him more quick than fast. Like, I really thought he got from here to here quick. But he didn't look like a Nylander, skate with a glass of water on his helmet.
I'm really excited to watch him again.
Me too.
My first thought was he kind of just looks like the size of an NHLer. Like,
presence.
No, but like, everyone sold him as this big bruising power forward. And you see all these highlight clips of him burying guys that are playing for wherever state. And you're like, oh my God, this guy's a dynamo. He's massive. And then he goes out there and just like kind of looks the same size as all the other guys. And it's like, well, that's one factor of his game that you were kind of anticipating being an advantage. That wasn't there at all. Like, I thought he kind of shied away from contact a couple times where he had a chance to like make a hit. But like you guys, I am interested now. Like, he had enough in his game where I'm really interested to see it again, but I wasn't blown away.
If you only had this one chance to assess, would he be in your lineup or would he not for game one?
Such a good question. So I think my answer is no.
My answer is no as well.
Unanimous.
Wow.
He is not starting for me in game one.
So here's
just based on what we saw out of what we said he was going to get. Like anywhere between 10 and 13 minutes.
Yeah. But here's my caveat to that. If the first guy to play poorly, like it could be after game one, I'm very comfortable with him going in, playing on a third line, playing 14 minutes, whatever. I'm comfortable with that. But I just think you're going so good. And the question isn't, can he play? It's who comes out. And Lafferty just got in a fight and scored a goal and had some of his best hockey before he was out. Zach Aston Reese has been a dynamo for them, playing his best hockey of the year. It ain't Kampf. It ain't Kerfoot. It ain't Achari. It's like when people say, this guy's a top 5 player in the league, and you start to do it. It's like, who do you take out? Who do you take out for Nyes? Not that he can't do it.
You can't also, and I've been in rooms and watched guys like this come in. You cannot underestimate what it does for maybe, I don't know, as many as 5, 10, 15 guys going, you walk in here 5 minutes, you get to start game one, and we got a guy that's learned the system and has been with us all year, and he's out. That's not right. It's not right.
Yeah. And there may be other ways this opportunity presents itself, whether through injury or through struggles. Player really messes up
down
here.
3-0 in the first round.
Well,
Kyper, come on.
What are you doing? What is struggling now, right? Like, seriously.
Here's my
struggling
guarantee.
is you are down in the series.
You can clip this. Matthew Nyes will play for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Tampa Bay Lightning in round 1 of the playoffs. He will play. He will not watch the whole thing. 100% guarantee for me on that. So it's just a matter of how long they wait, how poorly someone has to play, how badly they have to lose a game. He's going to get in.
I wouldn't put that guarantee on.
I agree
I
with
like
you.
your
Sure
chances.
did.
I know. I like your chances. Maybe we'll just have to see what happens with tonight and Thursday. Those are tough buildings to go into under any circumstance.
I think the only way I'm wrong, so back it off to 99.9, is if the Leafs sweep Tampa Bay. If they just go bam, bam, win, win, they're not changing their lineup, in which case I'll happily go, I was wrong.
And
we'll celebrate.
They've demonstrated by their actions with the cap how much they adore Matthew Nyes and how much they want him
That's a very
around.
Good point. They
Right,
have
like
invested
they-
in this publicly.
Like they dressed a kid who played for the Attack this year last night so that they could get him on the roster.
It wouldn't be the first player that Kyle's fallen in love with, though, too.
Well, I mean, who else has he fallen in love with?
Well, listen,
Malgin.
I wrote the Nick Robertson article when he was in against Columbus about how he wasn't ready too, and I'll just go ahead and count that W. Let's listen to Sheldon Keefe talk about Matthew Nyes.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. I thought the pace didn't faze him at all. His feet were moving. He made some smart plays with the puck. There's a couple of mistakes out there, but I think some mistakes are good because you can learn through that and adjust your game, which I thought he did. So I thought he did a nice job. Listen, he's hasn't been easy for him, in terms of what he's been through, not just in the devastating loss that they had for such a long season, but just to turn around to get here and his day to day. I don't know how much he enlightened you about that, but his day leading up to the game and then getting here to the arena. Even I went to go talk to him just before warm up, and he was still talking to doctors and going through all the medical stuff that they have to do. It's not, you can't just show up and play in the NHL. There's a lot of hoops to jump through and clear in terms of the medical process that normally is done in training camp. But he had to go through all that sort of stuff today, and he had to travel a good distance to get it done as well. So not an easy day for him, both today and yesterday. So I thought it was a good effort from him, and it was nice to be able to get him in and get him involved, and the guys really.
And don't underestimate the luxury now Sheldon Keefe has, that there's nothing on the line for them personally as a team.
Mm-hmm.
You can put them in situations where you know, if it bites you, it's not the end of the world.
I
and
agree.
last night was another example of that.
1-1, he's out there.
The
late.
game's on the line, or there's playoff implications or home ice advantage, it's a different beast.
Yeah, he gets some reps in some different spots for sure.
Which is good for Nyes and good for the Leafs to know what you got. I guess good on the Leafs for putting themselves in a position where they can take these last 4 games and truly use them for any way they choose.
Yeah. So this is maybe a bad comparison. Well, it's not bad. It's just different. So, and you can probably relate to this, Kyper. So when I left college, I went and played in the American League for a little bit. And I remember the first couple games getting caught in positions where it didn't used to matter. Like I was a good college player and guys catching me from behind, just skating through the neutral zone and just getting back pressure. Like the tracking was so much harder. He gets hit last night by Giovanni Smith at the one point.
He got lit up.
Got
pretty
drilled,
good.
right?
He did,
and
yeah.
like he's just in a spot he wouldn't normally be or wouldn't anticipate getting hit by a big man. And it's not like he's going to get lit up like that all the time. It's just getting used to the speed, right? Like,
Oh no, for sure. And
the positioning and the structure.
also playing
different.
junior hockey and American Hockey League, you can go down your roster and you can find 3 or 4 weak spots in a lineup and just know that guy will never play in the NHL, and he's just there's ways to take advantage of him. That's not the case when you step on the ice in the NHL, right?
Yeah,
Everybody
every
can
guy can
skate.
play.
Everyone's pretty strong, and now it's the adjustment to know that there's not just like 4 or 5 elite players out on this ice. There might be 15, 17, and they're coming at me every shift.
For sure.
And that's just a learning curve. And as soon as you see yourself crossing that threshold and saying, I'm one of them now, that's when you take off. Right now, he's on the other
Where do I
side.
fit? Yeah, and I thought he did kind of peter out during the game last night. Like a lot of his great plays came in the first and second period. It's a long day. It's all, we're doing all we got. We're judging all we got to go on, which maybe isn't fair, but we do have a bunch of clips of what he thought of his game one. Do you want to go through some of his comments?
I'd love to hear.
Pretty mature.
I've not heard this, so I'm intrigued, like all our listeners.
All right, let's start with Nyes on transitioning from college to the NHL.
It's hard to kind of try to put that behind me, and this was a good thing that I needed, and get that joy back in, because obviously it was a devastating loss back in the Frozen Four. So it was pretty heartbreaking having to say goodbye to those guys and show up and be the new guy here. But they've been really welcoming, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
Let's run through the gamut before we
and,
weigh in.
I don't know. It shouldn't be brushed off that the guy stayed an extra year. And for sure, it's about, first and foremost, what's best for him in development. But he stayed in so he could win a national championship, too. That team was loaded.
They were up 2-0
That's
in the national championship game.
It may go down with Cooley and who's his other
Snuggerud.
Awesome name.
Could be one of the. We may look back and say, well, it's one of the best college lines you've seen in a long time, if not right up there with the best
and
of them.
And to just peel off the maroon and gold, pull on the blue and white, and be like and I'm on this team now. Like, it's not an easy transition.
True.
My last year of junior hockey, we had 2 best of 7s to go to the Memorial Cup, and we lost to the Oshawa Generals twice in Game 7. And I am, and I'm looking at 30 plus years, and I'm so pissed off still.
Yeah.
So pissed off.
I have a missed putt from when I was 16 in a tournament that I think about all the time. I'm like,
So
I've just sucked at everything.
anything, Sammy?
No.
But
just to go to a playoff hole in 18.
we're
like a
talking
three-footer.
about something that happened, 48 hours ago for the kid.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
And like as Sheldon said, like leading up to the game, I think he had to travel while he was there to like go to doctor's offices. Like it would have been impossible to just like
10 seconds in overtime, and he's on the bench. How do you not start that line?
I don't know.
You lose the national championship without the best line in hockey on the ice to start. You start your checking line and they lose 8 seconds in.
Coach had a flawless year, won coach of the year in college hockey. That's a tough one to sleep on.
Bit of a whoopsie.
Is that a good way to transition to the Leafs overtime and not starting?
No, because he's got
David
we
Kampf?
got 2 more Nyes clips.
Oh, do we? Okay,
Let's
all right.
finish on him. Nyes
Okay.
on the differences in college and the NHL.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big step. Guys are a lot heavier, a lot faster. It's a pretty big adjustment, but I think the more games that kind of get under me, I think the more I can get adjusted to the speed, and my awareness would get a little bit better. So I think overall, it was a good performance, but I think the speed and the heaviness of the players is definitely an adjustment.
Thought it was pretty aware to talk about awareness. That's something that'll come for him.
Well, he went to college.
He's a smart guy.
Smart guy.
He did present very well in his interview. And let's do the last one.
This one he got asked about being in the lineup for Game 1 of the playoffs.
Which of course
So
he very much wants to do.
so this was the answer he gave to that, which I thought Kyper would like this because he thought he was getting a little overconfident before. So let's play this clip.
I'm just here to help out the guys. Just I want to be as helpful as I can anywhere as possible. So that's not really my focus. My focus is this team right now and the guys in that locker room. I want to make sure I'm doing my best to help them out.
So there you go.
Saying the right things on day one.
Oh, it's like he's Canadian.
It is like that, but he's not, right? He's from Phoenix. Yeah. That's great.
No,
All right, way to
perfect
go,
answer,
Matthew Nyes.
Sammy. Perfect answer.
That was a perfect answer.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
That's what we like to hear, Kippy. Not too confident.
Absolutely nailed it.
Just here for the boys. Help the boys.
Now I just need him to fight someone on Tampa Bay tonight.
Okay.
Kidding.
I don't know if we want that.
Relax.
Where do you want to go? You want to go Samsonov and pretty impressive in terms of getting himself ready for Game 1.
Boys, he looks good.
What do you make? 46, 7? Jeez, what a showing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really
What's
good.
the
That was his
score
best
without
game of
him?
the year for me.
What's the score without him?
Yeah, you put
Last
that
night?
college kid, that junior kid in, it's
Yeah.
15-1.
My boy Nick Chenard from the Own Sound Attack probably not going to end up with 45 saves in that game.
No
Let's just
joke.
say
That was a starting goalie performance. In
Yeah.
a game the other team pushed. Really
Yeah.
good. Really good.
Yeah. There will always be a little bit of nervousness when it comes to him and
Injury.
And
Happen again.
yeah, 2 games in a row where you just look at him and go, "Are you okay?"
We took a clapper, looked like almost in the throat last night. It was way up high on him,
Yeah.
and he's shaking it off. It's just, there's no fun watching a hockey game that doesn't mean anything with him in the net.
100%.
It's a terrifying thing every time. I hate it.
I hope that he's
Yeah.
one of those people who plays up his injuries.
And you-
because otherwise I don't like what's happening.
And you wanted him in bubble wrap, Sammy. I listened to you the other day. You didn't want him to play don't want him to play.
No, I don't want him to play. I haven't
I
wanted
know,
him to
but
play at
goalies
all.
have to play.
I know.
They can't go 8-10 days without playing.
I would like him to play. I would have liked him just to play Thursday. Get that game under your belt and get ready for the playoffs. But
I can't imagine him not playing Thursday.
he plays
Yeah.
Thursday for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
So,
Yep.
and then you're good to go.
Just gonna hate watching
No
other
nerves
Leafs games.
at that
Now,
game.
On the other hand, there's some that's suggesting to me that Matt Murray's getting ready or feeling better, but he's not skating. He won't play any games. I don't know.
Sounds good.
They'll come home Friday. They'll get the day off Friday, I'm sure. And then you got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, play Tuesday.
Tuesday, you think they'll open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was on tap out of the league the other day,
Okay.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday night.
So
Really fascinating if Matt Murray's the backup goalie in game one.
No, I don't see that.
No?
I don't see Matt Murray coming back and practicing Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then putting him in a position where he could play game one if Samsonov gets hurt. I don't see that world.
When's the time to break him in then?
I don't think you do. I think you just leave Wall there until you believe that Wall can't do the job.
Really?
Yes.
A healthy Matt Murray, and you'd keep Wall in.
I
Can I tell you how I feel about that?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, agree 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I cannot see a world where, and maybe
I can.
maybe
They traded for him because they think he has a mental advantage.
maybe tonight another solid start by Wall will solidify that.
What about a bad start? Does it destabilize that? You know, like I do think
I know you're throwing a curveball at me.
because
If he gets buried tonight,
they think Matt Murray has the guy who won Stanley Cup super advantage. He's the Jedi of goaltending or whatever. Isn't that the thing? Because he's not. The numbers aren't there, so it's supposed to be a mental advantage he has.
Well, he's no good on the ice, so hopefully.
Jeez.
yeah.
Anyway,
Listen, you can give him a week, 10 days of practice, and then feel like he's where you
play a couple of Marlies playoff games.
I don't know, but it's not by early next week. For me, anyways.
I just think the longer you wait to put him in, it's more treacherous. You know, like if it's all of a sudden you're in the third round and Murray hasn't played.
If you want to do that, you're up 3-1 in the series, maybe.
Playing with fire at that point.
Whoa, that is.
What, to back up?
Oh.
Not
okay.
to start.
Oh, okay.
No, we're not talking.
Okay.
There's not a world I see that he starts unless Samsonov is completely blown a wheel.
Crap
Yeah.
the bed.
Well, we'll listen to Sheldon Keefe on Ilya Samsonov.
Oh, outstanding, obviously. Just the way that he battled and competed tonight. Really commended our team in terms of the fact that in a game that doesn't mean a lot to us in the standings, obviously, means a lot and everything, really, to the opposition. It was a true test of our commitment today and the character of our group, the togetherness of our group. And I thought in terms of battling and being committed to the job tonight, nobody exemplified it better than Ilya. So he was awesome.
Keefe, the goalie played good. Got it.
Yeah, he was. And just doesn't seem as it seems calmer to me.
Yeah, he's at his best when he's not.
Fish out of water.
Right. Keeps it fairly close to the blue paint. They did win the game in overtime.
Yeah. First of all, Matthews and Marner.
They started. They listened to us. They put out the
Yeah.
good players to start. And you know what? I loved it. They put him out there with Brody. That's the three. It's Matthews, Marner, and 78. That's your starting trio every time.
Yeah.
Perfect. They figured it out with 3 games left.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Okay. John Tavares, the hero in overtime. Now, if you're going to stay out there for like the whole overtime,
Yeah.
there's a really good chance you're going to be the hero or you're going to be a goat.
I cannot believe. I think I'm so excited to bury these guys. Willie's the guy. A minute and a half, he's out there. He's dragging. Ekblad skates around him, and Willie's so exhausted he can't even play defense. Then the puck goes out in the neutral zone like a rocket. Full tank of gas to go push for offense. I was giving Willie crap. I'm John at my TV. A minute later, Tavares gets a chance and outskates Matthew Tkachuk down the ice with a little hop in his step.
Well, he was resting the whole time. He should have a hop.
That is unbelievable to me that you can have legs after a 2.5 minute shift.
I don't understand.
Working his bag off.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's not the right way to play. Put it that way.
Conserve, let them skate around
No,
with all the room in the world. Go take some space
Sammy,
away and skate with a guy.
It 2 minutes and 37 seconds?
I think maybe 2:47
2:47 for
or
a shift.
2:37. It was one or the other.
He was at 2 minutes when he started his breakaway.
Yeah, that's, like, you're the captain of the
Jokes,
team.
jokes.
You know, it's not a good message. It's not a good message to stay out there as long as you
Like
want.
he's trapped.
and
He's
just-
trapped in the D zone. He couldn't have just.
He wasn't even trapped. He was just
Hanging.
Hanging out.
Just having a picnic. Let's listen to Keith on that because he
All
actually
right.
commented about that.
Considering the length of his shift, were you at all surprised John had the energy still to go down there and finish it off?
Well, a little bit, but he was kind of standing in the middle while they were doing the merry-go-round all around him there. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt and chalked it up as a good strategy by him.
Not one you'd like to see deployed often.
Like, he could do no wrong. He could do anything he wants. Sheldon just will not crap on him.
I don't think we've ever heard Sheldon be like,
No. John.
yeah, he's the captain.
He's the captain.
you
No,
don't-
he's had a couple this year when they were really, or he didn't crap on him, but he, some words of encouragement, I would say.
we need better, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and now can we move on to the fact that, like, nasty finish?
Oh my God.
I'm
what-
very Tavares-like to get in tight like
Listen,
that and go
he's-
king under
he's
the bar in the
still-
backhand.
He's one of the best around the net, 6 feet, the hands. He's still a guy that can, since he was first putting on skates, he is just a guy that loves his cookies.
You play legit pond hockey, he might be the best player in the league.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he would just, like, no one's going to hit you. You could just do the whole.
Well, I don't like him 3-on-3.
No,
I think that was a pretty good example last night,
Yeah.
albeit, minus the finish between him and Willie blowing zones but foot speed's an issue, 200 feet for him.
I will say the one goal against that Florida gets, Brody kind of half pinches, gets caught, but typical TJ Brody plays it brilliantly, like works the way back, hands it off to McCabe, is it? Good switch, well communicated, and then the puck just goes through his feet. But 91 and 88 don't track back and take anyone, and the third guy back shoots it in the net.
Yeah.
So I worry sometimes. That's why you can't do Nylander, Tavares, and another offensive player. They got to play with someone who has a conscience.
Ryan.
O'Reilly, yeah.
I don't see any way that you don't have that as your second line to start
Think so?
game one. You put John in positions to succeed, and that
Do
means
that by
power
giving him
play,
Mitch.
and then just someone to back him up, and Willie, to be honest with you, and that has to be Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Ryan O'Reilly has to stay on the defensive side.
No fun, for O'Reilly, although he will get second assists and stuff doing that. But, yeah, we're going to need you on the D side of the puck
Yeah,
literally all the time.
and then Camp, Lafferty, and Kerfoot. Is that your third line?
No, I don't like that.
No.
What
do you like on the third
Camp,
line?
I liked Camp on the fourth line. Was it Achari, Kerfoot? Yeah, can no one else? I guess Lafferty. Achari play center there with Kerfoot and Lafferty. Yeah, is that exactly what you said? And I just mucked that up.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on Achari at center.
Yeah,
I like Camp. I do.
I love Camp.
I think Camp could be a good third line center.
Okay. Last night, I thought he made a couple really good plays, skated really well. Like, he took that one play by the blue line, beat a defender and took it to the net. Long, skates well. You're right. I like him a lot. I just, it's fun when he's your fourth center or fourth line guy because you're
Going to
loaded.
be interesting to see Tampa's lineup. As we mentioned, we don't expect Matthews and Marner in. Who would they pull out? Kucherov could not play. Might not play tonight.
Hedman.
Point, Hedman. They can all. They're in the same boat. They're not exactly willing to throw guys out there tonight for a meaningless game.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll get Elliott instead of Vasilevsky. And if they do play Vasilevsky, can Wayne Simmons just absolutely take one for the Leafs?
That's just cheating.
He ain't cheating. He ain't trying, Kip.
If he's on the ice, He's in the
Vasilevsky,
game.
you have no chance of seeing him tonight.
No.
you don't think?
Oh, why? Just tell me why.
He hasn't played in a while.
And he needs the Leafs tonight to feel good about himself.
He, according to Left Wing Lock, he is the likely starter.
Really? All right.
Well, who is left wing
if-
lock according
if
to? I don't
that's-
think they have
if
their own
that's,
sources.
Maybe.
Is that Vasilevsky just saying, I want this start just to
Get
iron
in
out a few things?
If
in
I'm
their
John
head.
Cooper and I'm starting Vasilevsky, I'm like, if anyone comes within a foot of your crease, you have full leeway to let them eat your blocker or your stick or whatever.
Yeah.
But who on the Leafs? There's no one on the Leafs that's going to do that. Come on now. You know
No.
this team better than that.
Mr. Nice Guy.
That's one way to become a hero in the city. His last start was April 5th, fellas,
That's a week ago.
against the Rangers. So
And what do they have after Toronto? Detroit.
Wings 2 days from now on Thursday.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah.
That
he'll
one.
play that one.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one should be enough for him.
We get
I don't
Tampa, Toronto at the end of the year, and it's for naught, just for nothing.
it sucks.
By the way, if it was 1-8, you'd be in a race right now at 107, Rangers 107, Devils 108, Canes 109. Huge points right now for final playoff seeds. Just to throw it out there.
Oh, if we were
1-8.
weren't in Gary's world.
Right.
Okay, we'll take a quick break here. We'll get Jim Ralph, Toronto Maple Leaf radio color analyst. After the break, we'll find out how close Ralphie was to maybe suiting up tonight.
Couldn't have been very far down the
I
depth
suggested my buddy, my Greek buddy, Moros. He would have been awesome. Could have had him down there in the private jet.
Just crashing Suvalaki at intermission.
I suggest my boy Chris Bernacki, excellent beer league goaltender.
You got anybody?
Shout out to Tim Mauser. If anyone out there knows my goalie in Arizona.
I'm telling you,
Mauser.
Chris gets in there, he's making at least one spectacular save.
No.
2 pad jammers and every shot.
We go Jim Ralph
All
after
right.
the break.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
I do wonder if a guy like Jim Ralph would even contemplate being an e-bug.
I saw Bernie Perrant play in the Winter Classic, alumni game when he was, I don't know, old.
Yeah.
I wonder, I would like to see Jimmy Ralph look better than Bernie Perrant in that game. That's all I would ask.
Let's welcome in Jim Ralph. Does a terrific job calling the games for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ralphie, so lots of talk about Curtis Joseph earlier this week.
Yeah.
And was he or wasn't he the e-bug goalie? I was told no, he was not. Now,
yeah, I was told his equipment was there. He was bringing his equipment in for something else the following day, and it was just perfect timing that he was caught doing it.
Yeah. Now, listen, under crazy circumstances, could you ever see yourself like putting the beer down and actually putting equipment on and waiting in a room if you had to?
On the road?
Not in front of friends and family?
No.
No.
They didn't. They weren't thrilled with that idea when I was in my 20s. So yeah, I got to say, even though there's been management changes and everything else, I'm pretty sure they're going to stick to the company policy.
Let me ask you something. When you were in your heyday, striving to make the NHL and doing everything you could, did you ever envision seeing a scenario 30 years later where kids just get plucked out of a college right into an NHL bench?
No, I mean, I guess the important message for all the kids is stay in school. That seems to be the one.
What do you make of it, Ralphie?
Get your Zamboni license or stay in school. That seems to be the common thing there.
What do you make of it? I mean, come on, we need to fix this, do we not?
Oh yeah, then to me this makes the league look bad. I mean, try to picture any other sport, and having, like, say you take somebody, a high school pitcher, to start a baseball game. I mean, I just think it's a little bit on the ridiculous side. And one of the guys you feel sorry for is, say, Keith Petroselli playing for the Marlies. Now they had Shelgren there and Wall, and now you're 8 on the depth chart for guys that have never signed a pro contract before. So those, I guess, having spent a lifetime in the minors, you sort of look at the trickle-down effect of those other guys that, it'd be nice if they could get up and even dress for a game to get NHL pay for a day. But it's, can you just imagine, though, if it was flipped and the Florida Panthers played, an e-bug goalie, and, you get the Islanders in Pittsburgh watching going, you got to be kidding me, when teams are trying to get in. So if there is one silver lining in this rather murky cloud, it's the fact that it's got no bearing on the standings or anybody else's playoff hopes.
It's true. The storylines have been running rampant here as the goaltending situation is a big one. Obviously, the introduction of Matthew Nyes to the lineup last night. He makes his debut as a Maple Leaf. Looks like a kid who's going to fill out and be a big, strong kid with some offensive talent. But we're not worried about what he's going to become later, because it's this year that, the stakes are as high as they are. What were your thoughts in his debut and your expectations for him here the rest of the way?
I thought he handled himself pretty well physically. There were a couple of turnovers that, almost, led to scoring chances for Florida. But that's kind of the tap on the shoulder where you got to say, kid, things happen a little faster and it's a little tighter here. And but I mean, that's an adjustment everybody has to make. But I thought physically, which I think is important, he handled himself well. He had a couple of moments where he was ragging the puck along the boards and looked pretty good. But I'm sure an adjustment for him as well, playing 13 minutes as opposed to 20 or 22 that he would have in college.
We look down the left side. and it's clearly the weakest position on the Leaf roster. Is there a legitimate opportunity here between tonight and a solid game in New York where he could actually work his way into game one, if not later on in the series?
I'd say later on, Kip. I think, they've done so much work to try to solidify the bottom six and get to what they want, unless you're top in the top six position. But I think you sort of owe it to, the group you've got, if everybody's healthy, to give everybody an opportunity to start the playoffs. But, bottom line is they're going to go with the best lineup that they think can help them win. But, when you just start looking at who would have to come out, you're going to say, these could be guys that you're counting on to be pretty significant, whether it's 10 minutes a game or 15 minutes a game to be those tough grinding lines to play against. So I would say, maybe injury or they get into some trouble in a series and get down a game or two, then you might see it. But I'm not 100% sold you'd see him in game one.
What would be the hopes to see out of him to make you feel like he's a guy who can contribute now? Is it offense? Is it defense? Is there anything in particular that'll make you go, okay, maybe, Zach Aston Reese is good, but this guy's just got too much upside?
Yeah, maybe the physical play, though, for me. Because that's a lot of what Zach Aston Reese brings. But then again, you're asking a guy to maybe take on a role that he's not accompanied or comfortable with. And I think that plays a big part. But I think Zach Aston Reese has shown that he's thrilled to be here. If it's 8 to 12 minutes a game, he's accepted his role and embraces it. So, I'm not saying never, but I just think that that's a big adjustment. Where you get a kid that's got offensive talent up front, and you say, okay, you're going to be a fourth line checker in the playoffs. That might be just a bit of a stretch to start.
We're talking to Jim Ralph, Toronto Maple Leaf radio color analyst. Tonight, Tampa Bay. I did hear, Ralphie, that there might be some talk last night after the game that Marner and Matthews would miss this one and come back against the Rangers. Obviously, Tampa Bay has the same option of sitting out some of their key players. What do you expect out of tonight's matchup and how the Leafs should handle this?
I don't know. I get the feeling that it could actually boil over into something just because it's a nothing game, but are we going to send a message or, this is a preview of what's to come game one? It could be one of those games that is goofy enough and meaningless that all of a sudden, some bad blood spills over a little bit early. One thing that I find amazing, just going back through the schedule, that on February the 14th, Tampa was ahead of the Leafs for a playoff spot, and here 2 months later they're 11 points up. And I just wonder if on a Tampa side they're going to say, Patrick Maroon, Corey Perry are going to play with more of a chip on their shoulder tonight, and try to send that subtle message for game one. So even though it's whether guys are rested or not, something tells me that it could be a little more eventful than we think it might be.
If it is, though, it's the Tampa Bay side. That's not the Leafs. The Leafs never have had the ability to go in there and send any message to any team outside of we're going to outwork you, outplay you, outscore you.
No, but I think what the Leafs would do then, though, Kyper, is try to have to respond to it. Whether it's with the likes of Achari or McCabe or Luke Shen, there would have to be a response to it, which would I think make it interesting. Because I don't think anybody wants the storyline to be that Lightning beat up Leafs before in series preview. I don't think anybody wants that hanging around either.
But it's such a good point, Kip. Like, why, if Tampa Bay were coming into Toronto or something, like, you could see them, all right, we're going to send a message. Why can't that be the Leafs tonight? I was going to ask you, Ralphie, if you thought that, there's anything aside from coming out of tonight unscathed, injury-wise, that could be seen as a win. But, I could see them having a chat and being like, hey, like, this is an opportunity for us to say we're not going to be the retaliators, the punch second team for once. Could it happen? Would there be value in showing Tampa that they'd punch first?
Unless it's Michael Bunting.
Just so you would feel phony, maybe coming from the Leafs.
Yeah, Bunting might want to just go up and take the major early.
Good point.
Get a couple of shots in. He would have to be the poster boy for it, wouldn't he? Take a couple of shots in the chops with no repercussions. Like I said, it might just be a bit of a snoozer game. But when you're looking for storylines, I think, wouldn't it be interesting if all of a sudden you got a 5-on-5 brawl somewhere, and if they say the game got out of hand, and timber started to boil over a little bit, because they're going to be very familiar with each other in a week from now.
I could see a little bit of maybe what we saw against Boston, and that was Lafferty's hit on, jog my memory,
Grzelcyk.
On Matt Grzelcyk. And those are the type of hits that the Leafs are capable tonight to start.
They should start Achari, Lafferty, McCabe, Shen. They should just put out a bunch of bullies to start.
Wayne Simmons would be on my list.
Start the game like that.
Get Paul Newman to be player coach.
All right, maybe that was a bit aggressive on my part. All right. Go ahead.
Joseph Wall.
Were you sitting with Bill Burr in Ottawa at a game?
I was, yeah. He said he was a little dry on material. I said, listen, I've got a ton of it from real Kyper and Bourne.
I got it from Ralphie. Ralphie's son stealing his bits.
Yeah. You know what? He's one of my favorites. And it was actually my son that pointed out. Oh, yeah, my son's my second favorite. Bill Burr. Bill Burr's ahead of him. But no, I absolutely love his love the style, and love his take on the world.
Yeah, and it's 24/7. Apparently, he is what he is on stage. He's same demeanor, same tone, same excitement levels. Yeah, it was fun hanging around him. Like you, Ralphie. It's like chatting with you.
Oh, well, maybe you can invite me to an Ottawa game next time. Good.
You betcha. Joseph Wall, is there room for him to solidify a backup spot to start next Tuesday?
Oh yeah. I mean, if it's not already, semi in stone. I think even if Matt Murray is back healthy for the playoffs, I mean, you want to get into that situation again where say Samsonov goes down with an injury, and now you got to put another guy in that's battled injury problems. I think, and that's nothing against Matt Murray. I just think with the situations that Wall has played well enough in his time. I mean, I thought tonight would have been, under normal circumstances, the perfect game for Wall to play. We've been saying this for about 3 weeks, that, let him play in that building against that team and have some familiarity just in case you need him for it. So, I think he's there. And, I think there's that outside chance he can do what Alex Lyon has done with the Florida Panthers and what Biddington did and the Hamburglar did in Ottawa, where guys just got to get on a roll at the right time. And so I would expect to see Wall as a backup. I mean, obviously I don't have any insight to that at all, but I think when you're looking at your two best goalies, your two healthiest goalies, I think that decision's pretty easy.
So there's not much to decide then. That's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Like if Matt Murray gets healthy, one of the other things would be the D pairs, kind of who gets in as the 6th, 7th guy. Do you still feel like it's open, not tryouts or training camp here, but like it's up between Shen and Liljegren and who plays best in the last couple of games?
Yeah, you almost wonder what, because I mean, Shen was Russ Shen last night, but what did he finish with, about 10, 12 minutes?
Not sure.
Yeah,
so,
he's right around always about 12, 13 minutes.
Yeah, so it seems to be, if there's 7D, he's among the lowest. And, you think if they go with 6, I know for me personally, I'd want him in the lineup. You may not have the foot speed or that, but he brings that tenaciousness and boxes out so well. And, when you have the likes of Corey Perry and Pat Maroon hanging around the front of the net, Luke Shen and Jake McCabe are probably my two top picks to stand there with them.
One more for me, Ralphie, and that's what you just mentioned moments ago about Tampa being ahead of the Leafs February 14th and what's happened since then. Regardless of where they were going to finish 2-3 or 3-2, there was always a sense because of the success that Tampa's had that Leaf fans would have to see it to believe it that they can beat Tampa Bay. But has their play in the last month, 6 weeks now turned see it to believe it into just we believe it now?
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking, especially with how much has Tampa's played over the years. You wonder if that plays any factor whatsoever. I actually just saw a stat that I thought was pretty interesting, that since the start of the 21-22 season, Andrei Vasilevsky's played 71 playoff games, and Ilya Samsonov has played 89 regular season games.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's kind of a scary scenario going in. But I think you also, you have to have tremendous respect for Tampa. I mean, how many people thought the Boston Bruins were on the way down and out, until this year? And it's their core that got them through it. So, as much as you hope you're closer to being able to win in the first round, and especially against Tampa, they've got too much of a history, and that I don't think by any means you're going to look at them and say, "Yeah, this will be easy." There's just too much success and a history in that locker room to feel that way. But even last year they went 5-0 in the first game, and you think, "Oh wow, good." This could be a 5 or 6 game series, and you see Tampa always found a way to push back. So I think that bothers you, and it'd be stupid to think that Andrei Vasilevsky couldn't steal a series on his own if he gets hot, because we've seen that before.
How did the Canadians win 4 in a row in the 70s, or your dad's team, JB, with the Islanders? I mean, weren't people talking about them running out of gas after their second Stanley Cup or their third one?
I just know, talking to my dad, that last year against the Oilers, like nothing left in the tank by the end of it. But yeah, I think it shortens your career span for some of these guys.
But they still they found a way to win 4.
Yeah, you start leaning more on experience than speed and skill, I think, Ralphie?
Yeah, but now the other side of that, Kip, you got to remember with Montreal, they went and got a goalie out of Cornell. That started there.
That helps.
With 6 games left in the regular season, and he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy before he wins the Calder as Rookie of the Year. Anyway, I love going down memory lane with you guys.
As we do too. Hey, Ralphie, thanks for doing this, pal. Have a great call tonight.
Thanks, Ralphie.
Sammy just cut him off.
I wasn't sure what happened there.
Yeah, Sammy cut him off.
I didn't cut him off. I don't run the board.
Oh.
Brandeo, 2 thumbs.
Didn't even give him the old, I love you guys or anything. We didn't get anything from him.
I didn't really even consider, I just was thinking that this game was so meaningless.
Me too.
Right? I never even really considered.
I've sold myself on a physical element tonight.
But that there could be some bull crap.
There's going to be somebody somewhere. You don't just lead the league in penalty minutes to let this one go away quietly.
Let's say the name, boys. It's Pat Maroon night.
Yeah, Corey Perry will be floating around.
I mean, running mouth, getting in people's faces, basically saying do something about it.
And that's why you love having a guy like Wayne Simmons in the lineup.
You do.
Yeah.
The fact that we could name 5 people out of the 18 skaters in the Leafs that we would be comfortable with in a brawl was pretty impressive to me. I've been covering this team for some time. I can't remember a time where we could put together 5 guys that could fight. So they got 5.
Decent amount.
It's not even the fighting part. It's just getting in your face. It's actually initiating a hit. Lafferty hit on Matt Grzelcyk was a prime example of something that you just haven't seen consistently this time of year from a Toronto Maple Leaf roster.
For sure.
And that's why Kadri years ago had to go and do it himself.
But that's 5 guys who, maybe not fighting. Maybe it's the hits you're talking about, but they won't run from it. They'll look the person in the eye who tells them, F you. They will look back in the eye and say, no. I like that. I like that they got a few guys that can bring that element. So we'll see how relevant that is tonight. Yeah. It is possible it's a sleepy affair still.
And Tampa's got some guys here, like Braden Point's sitting on 49 goals. Don't tell me he doesn't want the magic 50. That means something near and dear to every NHL goal
The
scorer.
Leafs should take great pride in stopping that from happening if they can.
So just was alerted to this while you guys were talking to Ralphie.
Oh, no.
There's a fourth goalie now listed on the Leafs active roster. Matt Anuska, I guess out of Windsor, maybe. I think that's right.
They had 2 this morning, ATOs.
So
Probably backs up and Samsonov doesn't even dress.
yeah, I bet you Samsonov's feet up.
No, Samsonov's not dressing tonight.
Oh, you know that for sure?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah,
sorry.
he's,
I didn't
he's, I don't even think he's going to the rink.
Good. You should just be flying to New York. Get ready.
Who was it yesterday? Who did I hear say this? That they should rent him a jet ski and they should just let him go enjoy the day in the
Give
beach.
him, and lots of alcohol. Let's do that too. Machine and alcohol. Good idea.
Crush this Robitussin and go
Maybe
out there and drive
rent the
that.
tractor. Why don't you guys do some farming while you're at
Is
it?
there
You want to
any-
give these guys a jet ski?
Could we get
you're
him-
a week before the playoffs.
Could we get
you
him
want
to
give him
Vail
a machine
to run moguls?
that leads the emergency ward in the state of Florida?
Is there any
Most likely to be heard on a jet ski.
It was such a Leafs thing to happen to.
any
Caught
any
his
ski
foot.
resorts near Sunrise?
You can do both in the same day.
Hot air
Hang-
ballooning. What
yeah.
else do you want? Parachute
All right, he
shooting.
can sit on the beach and relax.
Hey,
Let him get some snowmobiling in.
Have a day, kid. Have a day. Relax.
hey, bubble wrap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a much better idea than my idea. But
All
yeah,
right. Anything else on Sammy? What else can you find us?
we're going to turn the page to Tampa after this. I'm looking forward to finding about their injury woes because there was a day last week when I think it was Elliott who tweeted 5 guys in the Lightning were hurt.
Okay.
Now all of them are available, I think.
I'm way past that. This is just a tired team.
On Tampa?
I don't buy the tiredness.
That
I
Andre
don't.
Palat absence from last year, it makes a big hole in their lineup.
But I'm watching Ryan McDonough.
Oh, yeah, that
I'm watching Nashville last night in Calgary,
Mhm.
and they've got no Ryan Johansson. They've got no Matt Duchene. They've got no Philip Forsberg, and they got no Roman Yossi. Like, come on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But Ryan McDonough still can make a great first pass.
Oh,
he can
yeah.
still be in the right
Block
position.
shots.
He can box guys out.
Forget who said this, too. You know who else they don't have was Victor Hedman's D partner from last year, Jan Ruda. Like, that was
Yes.
another guy who played a lot of minutes. He played 17 playoff games for them last year as Hedman's partner. And everyone's like,
Like this is
They'll be fine.
This is well beyond just a tired team, right? They're
different team.
They've lost some talent. They've lost some size.
Salary cap has made life harder for them for sure.
Okay.
Not convinced, boys. Not convinced for one
Sammy,
second.
yeah, you're awfully quiet over there.
Not
eh?
convinced. Listen, you guys can crap on Tampa all you want.
Yeah.
I will do nothing of the sort.
We're not crapping on them. We're just saying
Observing
they've
the
got
differences.
they've got
Observing
issues.
critically.
We're saying here's one pitcher, here's the other. Spot the differences.
They've got issues. And we'll
Mid.
ask Brian Englom after the break, Lightning analyst for Bally Sports. We'll get his thoughts. Is this just a tired team, or are there holes in the lineup? More with Brian after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne.
From this
is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, helping you tee up tonight's matchup between the Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs. Also welcoming in Brian Englund, Lightning analyst for Bally Sports, two-time Stanley Cup champion. Sammy's working on getting him in the lineup. You know, when we talk about those backup goalies, all right, Brian's now with us. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good. Little different feel for us up here, anticipating the Leafs in Tampa tonight. Basically, guess your goalie time. Leafs with a bit of a salary cap crunch, especially with adding Matthew Knives out of the Frozen Four off the weekend. But all in all, really just a tee up for what's inevitable as early as next Tuesday, a Toronto-Tampa game. Your thoughts about tonight's game, first of all, before we get into maybe a little bit more of a breakdown?
It's been an interesting month plus for the Lightning. March was rough. It was for a lot of teams, I know, but March was a rough month, and it showed. It showed on them. They had 4 straight weeks of 4 games, ending with Saturday, Sunday, 4 in a row. So it wore them down. I think it wore them down attention span and mentally. It showed. And so they went through some bad stretches. Then they played 4 really good games in a row. And I thought, hey, this is really coming around. And then they went on this last 3-game road trip, was pretty mediocre against the Rangers, went south against the Islanders, and even farther south against Ottawa. So I've seen pretty much everything, guys. I don't know what to tell you. It's unusual, certainly for a team of their quality, to be this up and down, but they just can't seem to get everybody motivated at the same time on the same night. That'll come around, next Tuesday, because it has to. You flip. Everybody talks about flipping the switch, right? I think there is an emotional switch that you have to flip. But as far as how you're playing, I don't believe that. I don't think you just automatically step on the gas, and start playing really well systematically. I don't think they have huge issues there. I think they've cleaned some up, but I think they've still got some work to do. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the series starts coming up.
I am curious to know if you feel like their team has a personality of sorts that, they need to be emotionally invested. Like the Leafs up here, we see them play against lesser teams and they sleepwalk through games and then they have a bad one, but their personality as a group seems to be like, all right, we got embarrassed, and they always show up the game after. Like, do you believe that this Lightning team does have that, okay, it's serious now sort of gear that they can play to a level that's higher than, what they've seen on average this season?
Absolutely. That's what I expect. I mean, they've won 2 cups and they went to the finals, and we know what that takes. And during the regular season, so many teams are so even, and the execution level and the pre-scouting and all of that is so even that if you're not emotionally engaged, then you end up losing. You can lose to the 32nd place team in the league. Nobody loses all 82 games. So when you don't have that, it makes a difference. I fully expect, because of their experience level of the core, that they will get up to speed right away, and that emotional level will make the difference. And then that's when you combine the X's and O's with the emotion, and you see what you've got. But up until this point, it's really difficult to judge exactly where they're at. And I think they're even feeling that. They're sort of, shrugging the shoulders like, yeah, we know we're kind of all over the park here. We'll see kind of thing. So I'll stick with what they're saying because they're the ones feeling it and doing it.
Brian, there's no doubt that most hockey people will just talk about the things that you talked about, just the mental part of the game not being there. But what about physically, and how much of a change in this lineup can 2 guys in particular make? And I talk about Ryan McDonough and Palat, who went to New Jersey.
They're two big losses. There's no doubting that. Andre Palat was such an underrated player, and boy, was he a big-time player. Just look at his stats in the playoffs. He was simply outstanding, and that doesn't show the things that don't show up on the score sheet, like being in the right position, like back checking and being on the right side of the puck, all those things that we talk about all the time. But you look at his stats and you go, wow, that's why he was playing first line. They'd bump him up their first line, no problem. He scored some big goals. Ryan McDonough, we all know, and he's a big loss. They couldn't afford to keep either one of these guys. They were both dearly loved. I mean, absolutely loved by their teammates. And Ryan McDonough had that ability both in the locker room, but on the ice and on the bench to help just get out there and grab the game back when it was going sideways. He had that thing about him where he could just make some plays, make a big play defensively. I've compared him to Serge Savard over the years because he reminds me of Serge, his style of play, and even the way he skates backwards and the way he can cover 15 feet laterally in a heartbeat and then grab the puck, slow it down, and have that presence. And that's what I'm talking about, grabbing the game back. Do they miss that? Oh, hell yeah, they do.
So do you expect Tampa to roll out a fully healthy lineup for game one? At one point a week ago, it looked like there were about 5 guys with injuries. Where are they at in terms of health?
Yeah, it seems like most of the guys are okay except for Tanner Jeannot. He looked bad when he went down a couple of games ago. I don't expect him back anytime soon. Like, as usual, Lightning are being pretty cagey about that, but there's nothing imminent. So I don't know what that means. But, man, when I saw his leg crumple underneath him, I wouldn't count on him in the next little while for sure. And certainly I wouldn't count on him at the beginning of the series at all. Otherwise, the guys that were nicked up, Cirelli missed a game or so, Hagel was out, Chernak, they all came back at the end of the road trip. So they were skating today. I don't see anything big there in that respect. So I think really only Tanner Jeannot would be, as far as I know, the only guy that would be definitely out.
Brian, how big of a loss is that? We know the price that they paid for this guy. I don't think the numbers were there early in the trade to support something of that magnitude, but was it shaping up to be a significant pickup for them going into the playoffs? Where was it leaning towards with this guy and the huge price that they paid?
Yeah, Tanner Jeannot was just starting to come around. He finally scored a goal. He should have had 5. I swear there was a point there, if the net was empty and he was 15 feet away, it would have hit him in the leg and gone in the corner. He was snake bitten that badly, and you could see he was really gripping it. So he finally scored a goal. That relieved some of that pressure, even though they didn't acquire him to be another goal scorer. But still, everybody's got to feel good about themselves. What I did notice is the respect he gets around the league. He has guys, when there's a scrum around the net, there are guys that look at him and go, no, not you, I'll go to him. You know, that kind of thing, Nick. And that's a valuable tool to have, in your toolbox when you're in the playoffs, as we all know. So that will be missed. He's a grinder. He can skate. Yeah, he'll be missed. Mikey Eyssimont will be in the lineup. He was the other day. He had his best game in Ottawa the other day. He's been mostly out of the lineup and not in. They got him because they like his speed, and what they were after with both those guys in the acquisitions was the speed that they have, trying to upgrade the speed on the fourth line, because Belmar, Maroon, and Corey Perry are another year older, and it shows. I mean, it's just father time. So they needed to be able to inject some speed. And so the line combinations that Coop's going to use will be interesting in the Toronto series involving those 3 guys.
You mentioned Coop. I've talked to my dad who won Stanley Cups back in the day and their relationship with Al Arbor. And sometimes coaches have to lean pretty hard on guys to get the most out of them over and over and over again. John Cooper's the longest tenured coach in the NHL. They've been deep a number of years in a row. How is his relationship with his team now after having been through so much with them?
I think Coop is the modern coach. Yeah, Al Arbor was, famous for really going after guys sometimes. So was Scotty. I played for Scotty, right? And it was not fun. And they would tweak guys up, and more than tweak them up. That's being polite.
Right.
Really go after players, even in the meeting, an hour and a half before the game. I don't think that's done a whole lot anymore. Maybe on the bench still from time to time that happens. Everybody needs a kick in the butt sometimes. I think Coop gets it right, certainly a lot more than he gets it wrong. I think he reads people really well, and he's a talker. He'll talk through guys from what I understand. So they know where they stand. He's a really good bench manager. Like any young guy coming in, I think that's where he's a quick study. He's an attorney for a reason, and we know it takes a lot of studying and memory and everything else to pass those bar exams and just become an attorney. So I see that study, in him, and I think he's learned an awful lot over the course of time, which includes bench management and matchups and all that kind of stuff. So that's why he's the longest tenured coach, and he's got 2 cups and another 2 finals under his belt. He knows what he's doing.
Brian, one more for me, and this is going to be the most important one because this one scares the heebie-jeebies out of our producer, Sammy, here. And that is, where is Vasilevsky's head? Because with all due respect to Point, Kucherov, Stamkos, and the rest of them, there's only one guy that really scares Leaf Nation, and that's the big guy in net.
And he's going to keep it that way too. He's presence about him that's really interesting. He's got that it thing, Nick. That you want every goalie to have. There's a little bit of Patrick Waugh in him from that respect. About there's that presence, that mystique, that quietness, that look that he has. He's had his ups and downs. I think he's had his games this year where you go, yeah, Vasi's been, kind of mediocre for his standard. But he's played an awful lot of hockey. They're careful with him. He likes to play, and they've been telling him for years already, nope, you're not going out in the morning skate today. Nope. Otherwise, he'd be out there all the time. So they and he have learned to manage his minutes and his time. So I fully expect Vasilevsky to be as good as he has been in the past. And certainly the way they have played this year, I think it's put a lot of strain on him. So I think that has a lot to do with his, mediocrity at his level because of that. Like the outnumbered attacks were ridiculous at times. I mean, absolutely ridiculous, dumb mistakes that the team was making. So night after night, and he's playing most of the games, he a lot of stuff. So I think it wore on him a bit, and why wouldn't it? So I think as they tighten down, and in that 4-game streak where they played really well, I saw everything sort of come together, including Vasi getting unreal. He stopped 99 of 100 shots there in that 3-game stretch, and 3 out of the 4. That pretty much tells you about Vasilevsky.
When we've had conversations about Tampa Bay up here, there have been some question marks. Hey, their D's struggling a bit. They're getting scored on a bit more than usual. People usually reply with, yeah, but Hedman. Hedman's going to play 30 minutes or whatever, 28 minutes for them per game in the postseason. He's been their rock. How has his season gone as a guy who has, really been one of the league's preeminent defensemen for years now?
It's been an interesting year for him. I think he's been solid. He's been good. He hasn't been as spectacular. I think that shows in his numbers, but also part of that, I think, was it seemed to be a purposeful development of Mikhail Sergachev. Sergei had a lot more time on the power play. I think a couple of games ago, I looked it up. For the season, Sergachev had 45 minutes more total for the season, 45 more than any year he's ever played for the Lightning. So that's, a big jump, in other words, of power play time, and meaning on the number 1 power play, because you know what it's like being on the second power play. Good luck with that, right? You get 15 or 20 seconds here or there if you're lucky, or on a bad night when if everything's going sideways, then maybe you're out there. So I think that has affected Heddy. Maybe in the long run, that's a good thing. so he has some reserve left in the tank. He knows how to pace himself and go when he needs to. I just hope, that when the key times in the series, whether it's Toronto or the next round, I hope that he is allowed to go and wants to go. I'm old-fashioned, guys. I want to see a guy who's as good as Victor Hedman. I want to see him grab it and go and tilt the game up on two wheels. Be honest with you, I didn't see that hardly at all in Stanley Cup Finals, and it bothered me. It bothered me a lot because sticking with the structure and not getting caught and all that stuff, I get it. But to me, I will never change my mind because I played with Larry Robinson. I saw, all the top guys, Paul Coffey, you name it. When things are going sideways and the big boy picks up the puck and starts going, which includes Victor Hedman, everybody on the bench gets about 8 inches taller, right? And here we go. I didn't feel that. I thought there were too many games in the Colorado series where I went, okay, maybe it was a one-goal game, but momentum-wise, because of Makar and McKinnon, I didn't think it was even close. Not even close, momentum-wise. So that part bothered me. And Victor Hedman is the key there. There's no doubt. So that's one thing I'm going to be looking at during the course of the entire playoffs, however far they go, is how did Victor Hedman play? Not necessarily did he score, did he get the points, did he grab it and go at the right time? Not the entire game, a couple of shifts here or there, maybe for 8, 10, 12 minutes, whatever it takes, and then go, okay, get back in the system, Hetty. Don't get caught, whatever. I think that goes a mile. I don't know what you guys think, but I love that kind of stuff, and I will never change my mind about that.
Brian, I got to ask you one more before I let you go, and that is just this reputation of the Tampa Bay Lightning leading the league in penalty minutes, watching often during the regular season of this wolf pack mentality, touch my guy, 5 guys go in there, drop their gloves, willing to do whatever it takes. I mean, was that by design? Did they stumble into it? I don't think Julian Breesbrough put together a team when he first started saying, I'm going to beat you in the alley. I'm going to beat you on the scoreboard here. And is there a chance we may see some of that tonight in a meaningless game against Tampa's first round opponent?
Only if there's that one hit or that one incident, and that seems to be all it takes in any game, but certainly in the Lightning games. If there's one thing where it gets a little questionable, maybe there's some face washing and whatever, maybe there's a little message sending or whatever. I don't expect to see a lot of that, but all it takes is that one hit that's iffy, and they will jump in really fast. I think they learned from – everybody goes back to when they lost to Columbus 4 straight in 2019. But I go back to the year before that when they went all the way to the conference finals against the Washington Capitals. But by the end of that series, Washington was taking it to them. The Tom Wilson factor. Everybody was running on Washington. I mean, TJ Oshie's running guys, and they have I saw that as a turning point where they didn't have a Pat Maroon. They didn't have anybody to really respond. And that really stuck out to me. And I think it did to Coop, and I think it did to the management. And they started to turn back in the direction you are talking about back then. And I think that's gone a bit unnoticed. Columbus just sort of played rough and tough. It wasn't about fighting, but they played solid. And that was another step forward in the Lightning, molding them into a different group that you see now.
Brian, great stuff, man. Have a great call tonight, and we'll see you next week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Brian Englum, Lightning analyst for Bally Sports.
I was interested hearing him talk about ice time and Sergachev and how they really did put time into his development this year, right? Like running power play 1 at times.
Yeah.
They're interesting in how much, and I'm curious to hear what you think will serve a team better in the playoffs. They're very top heavy in terms of ice time, the way they roll out their decor. Number one on their decor and ice time per game is Sergachev. Total 24 minutes, 23:50, and Hedman's right behind him, 23:43. So they play a ton. Next guys, Cole and Chernak are like 19 minutes, and then below that, Radish and Perbix are 16. The Leafs are 21:50 as top guy is Morgan Riley. Brody's 21, Hall's 20, McCabe's 19.5, Gio's 18. Noah's 19. Like they spread it.
Yeah.
What do you think is a better setup for the postseason?
Just give me one healthy Hedman, and I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
And there have been few guys, a handful of guys that I can honestly say that when they're out on the ice, they dictate, they control.
Well, just when you're that big,
Right?
it's like Chara. Like
think
the
about
long
half
stick that
half
controls
the
so
game.
much.
Half the game.
Yeah.
When you're on the ice, you like your team's chances.
Yeah.
And that I think of Brian Leach. I think of a guy even Chelios in his heyday. They just go out there and they find different ways to control games. Hedman's that guy.
Yeah.
The Leafs don't have that guy. So
Yeah.
they have to be solid from one pair to the next.
The top ice time on Boston, like Lindholm plays 23:16 and
See,
McAvoy's.
when I watched Leafs play Boston last week, Lindholm controlled for me when he was out on the ice.
Yeah.
He dictated.
I was just thinking of like the best teams, like the way McCarr did that for Colorado
Yeah.
on the way to their cup. Tampa has it. Boston has it. Fox for the Rangers is their guy. Slavin and Pesci for Carolina. Hamilton for the Devils.
Listen,
It's something that the Leafs have to overcome, is my
and
point.
Morgan's not in that class.
No, and he would tell you the same. And the Leafs would too.
Yeah.
So they need all their D to be good. Whereas other teams can say, well, we may not have six good guys, but we just leave these guys on the ice a lot.
So some updates from Sheldon Keefe, who is speaking right now.
Okay.
Wall starts tonight, confirmed.
Ooh.
Samsonov dealing with something and unlikely to play Thursday either.
Yeah. Oh, the Thursday. That's interesting. Really?
Yeah. Good thing he had to play in all these meaningless games.
Well, we've seen him on a couple occasions the last few games dealing with something. Like they're not making
an injury.
They're not making.
Yeah, he's hurt.
They're not making something up here.
The man's playing hurt. They've been
Right?
playing
The
him
good
hurt.
news
Did they mention Marner and Matthews?
No, not yet.
The good news is Samsonov is whatever he has, he's healthy enough to play if he had to tonight, presumably.
Yes.
So that means he'll play in playoffs. I'm actually whatever. Fine. Get him in game one. Your starting goalie is Ilya Samsonov. You started the year thinking that might be the case.
This is
Live with
where, though, you got to go back to September where you are rolling the dice with this guy and you hope that he's can turn himself into a workhorse, but you don't know. Like, there's one thing to say that you can play Thursday or be ready for next Tuesday, but starting Tuesday, it is every other day for what you hope is 2 months.
Yep. For sure.
That's the great unknown.
It is. And, I think at the start of the year, they would have said, well, that's why we got two guys. Hopefully one of them is healthy at all times.
Doesn't really work out that way in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Historically, we got two guys.
It's not unprecedented. Murray's been a part of that with Fleury, but it's certainly not the more common path.
That year, Fleury started. He faltered. Matt Murray cleaned up.
You said Grubauer played some for Holtby. You saw Francouz played some for Kemper. Like, it's not the way you want to do it. I know, but
yeah. And that's where you hope that Samsonov's confidence and his season can catapult him now to that next phase of being a great goaltender, and that is getting the job done every other night in the spring.
You know what? All season long, he's gone, a week between games for him would not be that ridiculous, right? Like Matt Murray has been there. He's often gone a week without games. He's coming off a 47 save, 1 goal against performance. He'll start for the Leafs in the playoffs. Fine with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, listen, he has proven that he won the job. He has proven that he has earned the trust of his teammates. He is in a great spot to start Tuesday.
What's he earned financially in the offseason?
Oh, come on.
Okay, all right, sorry. No, don't do it.
I wrote about that last week. He'd be looking for without right now. I think the Leafs probably. I would believe that the Leafs would try to sign him now.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't you? Do you want to get him in the 4s, or you want to have him beat Tampa Bay and then take this to 5+?
I want to just beat Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And then you can have $500 million per day. I just want to win a series so bad.
Would you take it? You're starting to sound like Sammy.
Yeah, well, listen, it's important. Livelihood hinges on this.
Okay.
Yeah, still nothing about Matthews and Marner.
That'll be interesting to see if they're in or not. I do believe that they should take them out. I'd let the meat and potato guys go at Tampa tonight.
Matt Onuska is going to back up. Yeah, that's
Is there any chance this is a little, oh, no, that's stupid. I was going to say gamesmanship to make Tampa think he's hurt before the game.
Who?
Samsonov.
It could be related to why they were allowed to call a guy
Samsonov
out.
is playing game 1. What do you care if he's nursing something or needs an ice pack on something?
Would
Who
this
cares?
be part of the
Well, I
way
do
to get
care
Wool
because I'd
in
like
in the
him to
first
be-
place?
What's that?
I would have liked them to have a capable backup goalie that they could have started more down the stretch and not run a guy into the ground because now he's hurt.
Listen,
That's what I would have
he's-
liked.
He's healthy enough to start Tuesday. That's all you need to know. Anything can happen from then on. You don't know whether an injury could happen because it wasn't treated 2 weeks ago or if it happened in the first period. You just don't know.
Anyways, it sucks to see that.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
You're good.
All good.
You're good.
No sweat.
Okay. News and notes. Where do you
Yeah.
guys want to start? You want to start with Calgary? Maybe the biggest disappointment of the season. Name me another team that is disappointed more than Calgary Flames?
No, it's the Flames. I mean, the Islanders can get there too, who traded for Bo Horvat if they don't get some breaks down the stretch here. But Calgary Flames, did they win the West last year or what? They second in the West, whatever they were. This is significant fall with a. I sure will. Thanks, Daryl.
What do you? I know they couldn't score.
Couldn't score and they didn't get saves. It's hockey. Those are two important things. But the Markstrom thing was a big story for them for sure. Doesn't sound like they had a lot of fun this year. That's a Daryl Sutter comment.
Yeah, winning is fun.
That's the best.
Losing sucks.
You can get along with a whole bunch of jerks if you win long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You expect changes there? Like they're locked into some contracts now. I mean, what changes do you expect?
Daryl's going to start coaching cattle again, maybe. I don't know.
You think they could clean house? You get
He may just want to
tree living doesn't
muck stalls in a barn instead. I don't know.
Is it tree living that doesn't want to resign? Is it ownership that didn't offer him a deal up until now? Nothing's really clear there.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think you go, next year will be fine and just go ahead with the same group and the same coach and the same GM and all that. So certainly changes ahead. Curious to see how drastic those changes are.
Winnipeg can make life a lot easier with a win against Minnesota. They got Minnesota and Colorado to wrap up. Nashville still has an outside shot, right?
Nashville does. They don't hold any tiebreakers. They're 3 points back with 2 games to go, which means 1 point from the Jets is all they need. Even just a drop point by Nashville would do it.
That's it.
Yeah. So we're as close as a team can be to locked into the postseason. Congrats to the Jets for absolutely doing everything they could to miss the playoffs.
Hanging on.
But hanging on. So they're likely to get the Vegas Golden Knights in round 1.
They have a lineup that can beat
They have
Vegas.
a chance. They have a chance.
And they got a good goalie.
Boy. Yeah, and was John Quick the guy right now for Vegas? Who's goaltending for them these days? Tune in on that.
Outside of that, it's just jockeying for position, right?
Yeah, looks like it. Sorry, just following Luke Fox. I'm following, we didn't have any clips from today because they're talking now. Luke Fox just tweeted, Dubas speaks passionately in defense of Jet Alexander playing Saturday. Long-serving e-bug for the Leafs.
He didn't like our show.
Did not like our show.
Oh, boy.
Any quotes?
Nothing yet. We did just the passionate speaking. Well, we'll stay tuned on that.
Passionate speaking.
Passionate speaking.
Those idiots on Real Kyper and Bourne said I'm an idiot, so
No, it's not him. I don't hang this on anything from the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I says, pardon?
It's the system. The system is the issue, not Kyle.
Okay.
Not you're just doing whatever you can to save your salary cap. That's all.
Oh, I thought we were talking about him putting Jet Alexander in for a minute 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, to me, we're in 2023 now. This is what we do.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a problem.
Seattle just did it last night.
It would have pissed me off if I was in the lineup.
Yeah.
But so what? I'll get over it.
I didn't know you could name your kid Jet. Something would have been an option.
Is that short for anything?
Jethry.
Jethro. No, Jethro.
Jethro.
Jethro Tull. He actually plays a flute in a rock band on the side.
Seems unlikely.
Jethro.
Anyways, it's fine.
Okay.
Kyle likes that stuff. He wants people to feel good about him.
Agreed. Erik Karlsson got to 100 points as a defense man. I air quote that a bit, but he got 100 points. One of 6 guys ever in a 6-2 loss, which is so Shohei Ohtani. I can't even believe it. Ohtani strikes out 12 in a 14-2
It is
loss.
impressive, and he's going to win the Norris because of it.
We've been.
Who else? If there were a second candidate that were worthwhile, he may not, but he's going to get my vote.
I will say we're pretty hard on Karlsson on this show in terms of
Defensing?
Defensing. Saw this from Travis Yost today.
Good.
Who does excellent work. That the even strength goal differential for San Jose this season, Kyper, with Karlsson on the ice.
Yeah, it's
they're
good.
They're a +5, and with Karlsson not on the ice.
Yeah.
What do you think? Dash what?
Yeah. 30.
61.
Okay.
I mean, to be good enough to pull that team to those numbers.
I don't care what the numbers say.
Okay.
If I was a team and I was thinking about trading for him, I'd be nervous. I'd be nervous that he would come in and want to run the whole show.
Yeah, I feel like I feel some pressure from people to really. It's an unbelievable accomplishment to be mentioned with the names he's mentioned with. But yeah, I don't. He makes $10.5 million, and I don't trust him defensively. So I don't.
It's not even the defense part. It's the chemistry part.
Okay.
I don't think he's a chemistry guy.
Sure. Not as a personality, just he's tough to mesh with because he does his own thing.
I just know that San Jose's best years as an organization were when he wasn't in the lineup, not when he was in the lineup. And all I know is Brent Burns was a very good hockey player, and Brent Burns' career as a San Jose Shark was over the moment they signed Karlsson.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Sure. I agree.
And let's just take a quick second here and say, wow.
God, remember all the
Karlsson
Oilers people
going.
really wanted that to happen?
Where the whole system is around him when he's on the ice, needing the puck, getting the puck. I just think there's a chemistry issue with him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can't think of a fit.
No, it's interesting, eh?
Yeah, it's a lot of money. You're right. A guy kind of
Go get another Norris Trophy, and let me ask you, in the height of his Norris Trophy season, if you envision him playing on any other team, and you can say, yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
And you can't come up with one right now.
Could he run the Leafs power play? Would they like him? Sure.
I don't think there's enough puck for everybody.
No, that's a good point too. Any more on Karlsson? You want to talk about the playoff races
and
here?
I do enjoy watching him. I do.
He's so talented.
Right?
It's
He's so
gross.
talented. It's like, what are you, crazy? He's a magician with the puck. I just don't know if it's team friendly.
Yeah.
We know it's individually fantastic.
Sell tickets.
Just
I'll watch.
don't know if it's built to win his game.
I'd agree with you. The playoff races got interesting last night. The Washington Capitals tried to lose. They dressed no one. The Islanders did not succeed. They lost a huge game.
What is going on with your Islanders here? And it's almost as if when Bo Horvat mentioned Vancouver, it kind of like turned.
I call that a coincidence, I think.
Why did he have to go there?
It's fun.
Loved
Sports.
It. Loved it.
And
Anybody,
go at him.
I'm a big Bo Horvat fan.
Yeah.
anyone who's going to crap on Vancouver, I'm all here for it. Good on you.
Yeah, he felt bad though.
He walked it
You
back.
could tell. He walked it back, and he should. I mean, it's no disrespect to them. He was just kind of caught up in the moment, right?
Yeah, that's being pro Islanders, not anti Vancouver.
And it still stings, I think, for him.
Oh yeah, getting traded,
Yeah.
keeping JT Miller.
Being the guy that took the brunt of it.
I gotta tell you, he's gonna love Long Island. Like the media coverage is so different than Vancouver. There's much less hate.
So what's their playoff scenario here, JB?
Islanders are at 91 points. The Panthers are at 92. Those are the two wild card spots right now. Both teams have one game left. The Penguins have 2 games left and 90 points. So if the Penguins win both their games, they're in the playoffs, and the Islanders are out. But the Penguins have penguins pretty hard this year, and they kind of remind me of Calgary as a team that you expect a lot from that continually sort of weirdly disappoints you. So I'm holding out hope here as an Isles guy.
Do we envision a Stanley Cup playoffs without Sidney Crosby?
I don't know. The other day, their backs are against the wall. He shoots 2 in the net, scores with 3 seconds left or whatever, and they win.
I have a hard
You
time
get it.
picturing Sid losing these 2 games.
Against Chicago and Columbus, for sure.
He's gonna.
It's like
gonna
Tiger
will-
making the cut at the Masters for the
He's gonna win.
23rd straight time. Like, guys
It's
like that just
for me,
find a way.
That is an excellent comparison.
Yeah.
And it's true.
And even if you're not going to win, just they get there.
Yeah.
I hope Sid's not limping like Tiger was at the end.
Oh my God.
My best case
I
scenario
can't
here.
watch that.
I agree.
That was like,
It hurt my soul.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the most dominant guy in the history of the sport who no one could ever even.
It's a real
Not
reminder of our own
got
mortality.
him a cart.
No, that's not allowed. No, come on, Kipper. They can't make exceptions. No.
Was it
no.
Paul,
There has to be one
Casey,
exception.
Paul Martin,
No.
Paul Casey Martin.
Get him a green cart.
Martin
A
Casey.
green cart.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been cart path only that weekend. You can't drive across.
90 degrees only. The best case scenario here is Florida loses to Carolina, and New York and Pittsburgh win all their games and get in.
Okay, boys.
Florida goes home.
Carolina, what's going on with them?
They lost 2 really good players that were huge for them, and they haven't really looked the same.
Huge players.
Especially
Well,
because
they
Especially
got to
tough.
win
They
that
lost-
division because
They lost their game breaker.
they're a heart and soul guy.
the 2-3 in the Metro is hell. You got to win the division. Huge race there tonight.
Okay. Our thanks to Jim Ralph. Brian Englom joined us as well to tee up Tampa and Toronto. Enjoy that game. We're back tomorrow to sum it all up for you. Thanks for joining us on Real Kyper and Bourne.